the cost of living and the cost of surviving in rural Japan. Let's do it.
Let's go.
I don't think I've done a cost of living video. I might have done one when the channel first started, but I like to give you my thoughts and information on the cost of living. This won't be an entertaining video, but it'll certainly be an informational one. So I look at cost of living probably a little bit differently than other people, and you'll see why later in the video. And there's a lot of expenses that people really don't think about that they really should be including in their monthly expenses. For those who are new to the channel or haven't seen my place, I live in an older place, so my cost of living as far as heating and cooling and things is going to be higher than a more modern house. But let's go through some basic expenses first. I also have a cafe at the front of my house, so for 6 hours a day gets a lot more use than a normal house. Plus I have extra refrigeration and things like this, so my expenses will be slightly higher than most people's. But let's get to the first one. My power bills, electricity, is and we're talking Australian dollars here, so I'll try and bring it to American as well, but 150 Australian dollars a month, or roughly about 120 US dollars. That's for my electricity. It's important to note that electricity prices have been subsidized for the last 18 months in Japan. So soon they'll be taking the subsidy off and these power bills will be going up. And as far as I know, I think it's subsidized to about 15%. So everybody expects their power bills to rise by 15% quite soon. Another expense is gas. Gas is that LPG gas that comes in 45 kilo bottles, and they're strapped to the sides of people's houses, and that's used for cooking mainly. And my gas bill is $150 a month, or 120 US dollars a month, but I use quite a lot of gas because I've got to use it for cooking, preparing some stuff to put on my calzones. And I've also got hot water. I don't have electric hot water. So 120 US or 150 Australian per month. Another expense is what we call in Australia is rates. So that's your property taxes, I think they call it in America. So I live in an area where my property taxes are very low, and we do community work, and that helps to bring our rates down. And for those who haven't seen the explanation of this, I'll include it in the link. Really interesting. My rates are about 40 Australian dollars a month, so 35-ish American per month. So that would be around about 320 US dollars a year for property taxes. Next expense is my car, which is the basic Sharken or registration, just to be able to drive it on the road. This doesn't include insurance. This also includes the mechanics fee. So there's a mechanics fee. He takes it to the place to get the Sharken, so there's a margin there for the mechanic as well, and that's about 100 Australian dollars a month, or about 80 US dollars a month. Just to own a car, that doesn't include running costs or insurance or anything. Another expense is kerosene. Kerosene is a petroleum based heating fluid. Used to be quite popular in Australia. I don't think you can buy it anymore, but that's popular in Japan, especially in Nagano. And I've just averaged this out for the year. Of course, we don't use kerosene for most months of the year, but it comes out to $80 a month. So in winter, we use quite a lot of kerosene to heat the place. And this is because of older houses. So when you do buy older houses, your energy costs are going to go right up. So a cheap house is not always a cheap house. So just remember that when you're shopping. Water and sewage. My water sewage bill comes to about $50 Australian a month, or about 42 US dollars a month. We probably use a little bit more water than most. because we've got the extra toilet for the cafe customers, but you could probably halve that for a normal household. So 42 US a month, 50 Australian a month for water. Water bills are calculated by the flow of sewage. So there's a meter, and that will tell the company how much water you're using, and they take a percentage of that, and that's your sewerage. So that's how they come out with that figure every time. So if you're taking massive long showers, it actually comes up as a sewerage bill, because you're using a lot of water, and they take a percentage, assume a percentage of that is sewerage. If you're self-employed or you have a little business, you're not working for a company where they pay your pension, for two people, basic pension, that's all we can afford, is 350 Australian dollars per month, and that's for two people. So $170 per person, or about 140 US dollars. So this would be the equivalent of maybe the Social Security monthly thing you have to pay into America. So I hear people saying they pay into Social Security. This is basically what it is, and it's about 140 US dollars a month, 170 Aussie, 350 a month, two people. Next expense that most people will have is to do with a car. This is insurance. So if you just drive a beta car like I have, I only get property damage insurance, which comes to $50 a month. It's actually higher depending on what color your license is. When you come and you first get your Japanese license, you get a green license, so you'll be looking at higher insurance costs. So you'll be looking at $70 a month. When you get down to blue, which is what I've got, is $50 a month. And then when I get down to gold license, that'll go down by another 20%. So you're looking at about 50 US dollars a month for property damage insurance for your car. That doesn't cover your car. So if you're driving along the road and you hit any car at all and it's your fault, you're covered for the other car, but not for your car. So whatever it's called in your country, this is what it is. It's insurance that covers everyone else's cars except yours, about 50 bucks a month. Depending how much you drive, I spend around about $80 a month on petrol. I don't do a lot of driving, so about 20 bucks a week, that's all I use for petrol. If you're traveling to work further, or you're living further away from town and things like this, you can expect your petrol amount to be much higher than that. So I pay around about 80 to 100 bucks a month. Internet for your house, this can vary quite a lot. I've got the fastest internet speed you can have in Japan, which is Hikari internet. So depending on which rural area you're in, a lot of areas don't have the fast internet, and this is something I talk about on my Kia buying videos on Patreon as well. There's maps where you can find all this out before you do your house hunt. If you can't live without fast internet, you could be searching for houses in areas that is just not going to be suitable. Hikari internet for my area, $60 a month, or about 50 US a month, and that's super fast. One of the fastest internets in the world, and 50 US per month. Two people in our household, so we need a mobile phone each. Don't need it, but it's very helpful. I believe having at least one mobile phone is a must nowadays. Communication and things like this, I think it's basically a necessity now, at least to have one mobile phone in a household. We have two, and roughly $50 a month each, Australian, 42-ish American a month for our mobiles, and that includes a decent amount of data, probably not I think 2 or 3 gig or something each. So 85 for two phones. In Japan, there's the healthcare that you pay into, and that is going to vary on what you feel you need. So there's actually, I can't really give a cost on this. So the very basic one could be 150 a month, or 100 a month, and it can go up from there, and you can get special coverages and things like that. So getting more than the basic, this is going to be depending on your budget. So look at around 150 a month for healthcare. Now next, this is the big one that people always never count as in your cost of living, and that's your maintenance. And the way I calculate maintenance is based on 1%. So if your house is worth $100,000, you should be putting away 1% of the value of your house for maintenance. So you should be putting away $1,000 a year as a minimum. So that would be $100 a month. You should be putting away for maintenance on your house. You might go a year where you don't need to fix anything. Then the next year, your air conditioner breaks or something like this, you need to call someone out. The 1% is the bare minimum, 2% is better, and you will always spend this money. You can't own a house and not maintain it. Things break, things need replacing, wear and tear. So this maintenance of 1% of the value of your house, preferably 2%, is a set cost of living, believe it or not. And just because people think it's not there doesn't mean that it's that they don't have to pay it, because in the end, if you don't have the money available to fix things, it can get a lot more expensive. So you always need to try and get that 1% in some sort of maintenance fund somewhere, and it will actually save you money because you'll have money available to fix things. And I don't have one at the moment, but I'm always mindful that I should have one. And the next one for your cost of living, whatever car you drive, I drive a Beta $500 car. You always have to have some money set aside for when your car is no longer, and you need to divide that monthly. So if you need to drive a $5,000 car because you need to drive to work such and such a distance, so a $5,000 car is the minimum you need, you really should be setting aside that amount over 5 years. So $5,000 car, it's $1,000 a year, it's $100 a month you should be setting aside for the new car for when your car breaks down. And the better your taste is in cars, is the more you got to set aside. So if you need to replace your BMW every 10 years, you better be putting $500 or $600 or $700 a month aside. Next one, pets. So I've got 5 at the moment, and I sort of also price this around as a maintenance thing too. So it might only cost $30 or $40 a month to feed one pet as a basic level, but you need to double that over the course of the pet's life, because you will be going to the vets, and you may have an operation coming up at some stage in the pet's life. So I think you should be putting at least $80 a month for each pet that you have. That covers everything. So it's not just food. At some stage you'll be dipping into your wallet, and you need to have the money available. So as you see, that doesn't even put food on the table yet. So depending on your tastes, food is quite affordable in Japan compared to most countries, and I would be looking at $400 to $500 a month for food. If you can grow a lot of it yourself, even better. Grow some of it and swap with other people in rural areas. That's what most people do, and you can bring your food bills down. But as for the other expenses listed before, you don't have a choice. You need to be able to generate that income to pay for those basic set expenses. And what's quite difficult, it doesn't matter how qualified you are, how much information you have, how much skills you have, you will always be at a disadvantage as a foreigner when you need to find money fast. So when you need to get a second job, when you need things done quickly. You'll always have less options, and a lot what's the word, it's a lot harder to solve your problems here when they come up. So you just need to be a little bit more forward thinking. When I was in Australia, work as a chef, so there's always people who need chefs, and if you ever needed extra money because your car broke down, or some surprise expense came up, or you spent too much on your credit card, you could always find extra shifts here and there at a moment's notice. Always hiring. In Australia, if you've got chef skills, it's very easy to find extra work, and that's pretty much how I used to live. I wasn't that disciplined. Surprise expenses would come up, and I would just work a lot harder. But I was a lot younger. It's a little bit different now. So as you get older, these limitations will come on you. You can't work as long and as hard as you could when you were younger. So you just need to be a little bit more careful. So I haven't added all this up, but I did sort of rough sums about a couple of months ago, and I came out at about $2,000 a month. You would live very comfortably in rural Japan. If you were just surviving, so that's just getting by and not having any extra money at all, $1,500 a month, you can get by in rural Japan, but you won't be having any luxuries, you won't be buying new clothes, you won't be doing a whole lot. And if you look at what people traditionally think in Japan, of coming here and teaching English, or coming here and doing certain jobs, most of these jobs don't pay more than that. So you need to think outside the box. These traditional jobs as English teachers, they're all casual, hourly, and coming to Japan and buying a house and just having a casual job paid by the hour, you can be pretty much let go the next day, and you lose everything. So I've heard of people that buy houses here, and they have basically a casual job, contract job, and they can be out of a job tomorrow and have to leave the country. So you really need to get out of these professions and do other things, and that's why I've always talked about starting your own business, farming, or startup business visas, things like this. This is where you got to go, and these traditional methods of staying in Japan and living here, they've been gone for 20 years now. So this is something you need to think about. And also, the cost of living is not going to get any cheaper, and wages in those professions aren't going to get any higher. If anything, they're going to get lower, or they're going to disappear altogether. So that's just my thoughts on cost of living, cost of surviving, and what you need. So surviving, $1,500 a month, living quite comfortably, reasonably, $2,000 a month, and that's after you own your home. So if you were to rent, you can rent places maybe for $400 a month, and a lot of expenses you won't have to pay, your insurances and other things. So renting is an option, but it's not very comfortable way to live. But a lot of people do it in Japan. They don't mind paying rent for long periods, even though they can afford to buy a house and they drive around in a new car. Some people just see ownership of old houses, cheap old houses, just not worth it. And I've gone through a lot of the disadvantages of buying cheap old houses, and there's quite a lot of them, and that's why the Japanese aren't very keen to get into it. So anyway, guys, that's my video on the cost of living. If you've got any more questions, just put them in the comments, and as always, hope you like the video.